Welcome from Greece. I see you there, Petros. Thanks for joining us again. Uh, Michael, we're just giving a couple minutes for people to start, but those minutes have since expired and we are about to get started right now. So first of all, everybody, welcome. We've got people all over the world joining us today for our webinar. We're really excited that, the series, really started kicking off last about a year ago, actually, when things really, changed for many of us. And we're excited to have you all here again today. This is the Machine Metrics webinar series. Today's topic, driving automated maintenance solutions with real-time data. A bit of a context to today's presentation. Manufacturers, like many of yourselves, right, understand that maintenance is a make or break activity, especially in high dollar, fast moving, high competition verticals. Maintenance strategies of times past, things such as reactive maintenance or even calendar-based maintenance, simply aren't cutting it anymore in this fast moving environment. And manufacturers still using these practices are finding themselves quickly falling behind. Modern maintenance strategies utilize technology, including IoT and analytics, to drive maintenance activities, leveraging real-time data to deliver better predictions and actionable insights. And by connecting maintenance teams to everything that's happening on the factory floor, manufacturers can amplify their ability to identify failure, either before it happens or reduce the impact of failures, target flaws in equipment at their root causes, and keep assets running at their best so companies can achieve and maintain a key competitive advantage. Well, that all sounds good, right? The question does bear asking, well, how do you take your manufacturing company from a state of reactive or even calendar-based maintenance to predictive or even prescriptive or even just usage or condition-based? How do you reap the benefits of a modern maintenance strategy? Well, avoiding the pitfalls that many do along the way. Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. And we have members of Machine Metrics and Fix. We'll discuss how you can build a roadmap to maintenance automation, as well as demonstrate the power of our new combined offering that enables any manufacturing team to leverage machine data-driven insights to trigger automated maintenance activities within the Fix maintenance system. Welcome. I'm glad you were all here. For those of you who don't know my voice or face at this time, I am Graham Immerman, VP of Marketing at Machine Metrics. I'll be your host and moderator for today. We are lucky to have two really awesome panelists today. Bill Byther, our co-founder and CEO at Machine Metrics, just gave everybody a wave. And thanks for joining us, Sandy D'Souza, who's the Director of Strategic Alliances at Fix. So just on our quick agenda for today, we're going to start things off for those of you that don't know us by giving a brief introduction to Machine Metrics. We will then segue to a brief introduction of Fix maintenance. And then let's talk about us. What does Machine Metrics and Fix have to do with one another? We're going to then pause for a brief demo to show you exactly what the power of the systems combined, if technology behooves us. And then we're going to pause for a Q&A section. Before we get started, some housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded. Do not worry. Fear not. We will send you a link after the webinar. So many of you that have to sign off early, so be it. But I assure you that we try to keep these things brief and to the point. So no hour-and-a-half long webinars here. Questions are welcome at all times. Please use the Zoom navigation. There's a Q&A section within the navigation where you can ask questions. We'll be fielding those as they come. Sometimes we will hold them on to the Q&A section of the webinar if we think that it's something that everybody will want to learn from, but I'm serious. Ask them anytime. Last but not least, we have another upcoming webinar here. This one hosted by our lovely friends at the NTMA, called Remote Machine Monitoring, Unlocking Continuous Improvement from Anywhere, Anytime. That's going to be on February 10th. from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. You can register now on the NTMA website or through machinemetrics.com. But the gist is, whether you're socially distancing or simply working away from the factory floor, real-time remote visibility into manufacturing operations is a game changer for any manufacturer looking to maximize their continuous improvement efforts. Yet, amazingly, in this world, in this mobile world that we all live in, research shows that less than 40% of manufacturers have integrated any sort of remote monitoring to their machine assets or people within their facilities. And without that access, as we all know, it leaves manufacturers without the data that they need at their fingertips, providing a potential opportunity for competitive advantages to others. So we're really excited to walk you guys through some key drivers for manufacturers to begin remote machine monitoring their factories, how it works, some of the low-hanging use cases and low-hanging fruit that can be driven value with, and best practices for any of you guys considering implementing something like this. February 10th, 2 to 3 p.m., register through the Machine Metric website or NTMA. Enough of me. Let's get to the main event. Bill, you can share your screen, take over, and we're excited to hear what you have to say.
All right. Thank you, Graham. And thanks for everyone for joining us today. Just as I'll be as quick as I can on the intro because I really want to get into the meat of the presentation. But despite all of the innovation that we see in robotics and automation, we see that manufacturing today is really consumed by manual processes. These processes lead to terrible inefficiencies, and it's automating of these processes that requires data from every step of the manufacturing process. It's really hard to capture and make use of this data from this equipment, and this is why we built Machine Metrics, which is manufacturing's industrial IoT platform for machines. We make it very easy to capture and transform data from this manufacturing equipment and then make that data actionable through increased visibility, predictive analytics, and configurable workflows that automates the operation of the machine. Essentially, what we're doing is we're building the operating system for the autonomous factory. And just a little bit about, over the past 5 years, we have connected to thousands of machines across hundreds of customers worldwide, mostly in discrete manufacturing industries, such as medical device manufacturing, automotive, aerospace and defense, heavy industries, industrial components. And these range from single plant machine shops all the way to global manufacturers. So I'm going to give you just a brief overview of how Machine Metrics works. Basically, the first step is to connect our edge device to your machine or a network of machines. And you can see that circled in this little green box here. This process is really easy. It takes just 20 minutes to connect it to your automated manufacturing equipment. And then essentially, we pull data directly from the machine's controller PLC. We automatically transform that data to a common data structure where analytics can be run. And if you have an older piece of equipment, we can connect to sensors, relays and sensors through our digital analog IO device that's also circled here. And essentially, this data is then transformed and streamed to the Machine Metrics cloud, which is designed specifically for machine data and the high volume of diagnostic and sensor data that's associated with machines. But it's not just the machine condition data, it's also the operational data that's layered on top of machine data to add additional context. So not only do we know the machine's conditions, but we understand, is the machine in setup? Is it down for maintenance? What are the part numbers that are being produced? And there's patterns in this data that generates insights that can be initiated through our no-code configurable workflow triggers. These triggers can send out notifications, or they can initiate entirely new processes, such as what we're presenting today through Fix. And then what we see from the platform itself is that those APIs that we make available allows other partners and developers to add on top of what's out of the box with Machine Metrics with this easy access to both our low frequency data and also high frequency data that we'll be getting a little bit more into in a few minutes. And then there's the application side. We have built-in applications that drive value immediately after connecting equipment. Examples of these applications include what's pictured here, an operator interface that displays machine data, and even solicit feedback from operators to, for example, to label failures, to categorize downtime. Configurable reports on OEE and downtime, help really identify those bottlenecks. And but in addition to what's out of the box, we see custom factory applications and integrations into other systems built by both ourselves, our customers, and partners that adds additional value from this machine data. Essentially, we're starting to build out an ecosystem of software developers that are passionate about solving manufacturing problems with data at scale. So just touching on some of the use cases that we really cover. So you can see in production monitoring, manufacturing executives, they use this data to monitor their capacity and also to justify capital equipment expenditures that's backed by the machine metrics benchmarking data. So we're in a unique position to have understanding with thousands of machines connected of what the standard utilization rate is of the type of machine that you're connecting, and we provide that in a report that helps justify whether more work needs to go into improving the performance of the machine, or perhaps it's time to buy a new machine. We also see that plant managers benefit from this real-time production data through dashboards on the shop floor, like what's pictured here. This improves decision-making and can motivate operators and factory floor workers with improvements in up to 20% just by having visibility into that data. And then production data can be fed into ERP systems to cut out that manual data entry that's required to keep these systems up to date. And then for condition monitoring, so manufacturing engineers can essentially understand root cause of machine problems with remote access to this machine data, as pictured here in this timeline. And you can look at this data both historically and in real time through this interface, and remotely. You could be at home or in the office. In addition, and especially relevant today, maintenance managers can be notified when a machine signals a critical alarm or sensor value exceeds a threshold, and this can be fed into a third-party system like Fix to automate maintenance workflows. And then we've also done a lot of work around predictive maintenance. We capture data at high frequencies from sensors and controls, and we can detect patterns in that data that predicts problems that occur in the machine. Some of these problems that we predict would be like quality defects, tool failure, and these algorithms can be either built by us or built by you or our partners, and run on the edge to predict these problems and not only notify the operator that we anticipate a problem occurring in the future, but actually stopping that machine. And if you want to learn more about that, we have some materials on our website on our predictive analytics work. And essentially, we've allowed these applications to be deployed to our edge and then managed at scale. And then and finally, like what we're really building out here is a machine data component of the digital factory. Machine metrics is powering the manufacturing digital thread. Essentially, we are connecting to other best-of-breed factory systems, providing real-time data to the entire product lifecycle, from product design to production, quality, maintenance, and logistics. This is the machine data digital thread, and also what we're building is that operating system for the autonomous factory, and we're really just getting started here. So with that, I'd really like to hand this over to Sandy to give you an introduction on Fix.
Sandy, take it away from here, my friend.
All right, thanks, Graham, and thanks to everybody for joining us here today. Believe it or not, Bill and I did not color coordinate on purpose, so kind of just a happy accident, if you will. But really excited.
Yeah. Oh, come on! I sent you that text this morning to wear maroon.
Yeah, it's the partner ecosystem sweater, right? Really appreciate everybody hopping on. Really excited to talk today about Fix, machine metrics, and really how we work together as part of an ecosystem to deliver value. How else to say it? To our clients, to our partners, to our customers. In terms of who Fix is, we were born fundamentally out of the belief that industrial software, maintenance software, should really be as easy to use as any other business application or consumer application that people have grown accustomed to in the last 10 or 15 years, right? So when we think about ease of use, really we think about ease of adoption. So are the people who are actually doing the work going to use the application? We talk to maintenance teams all the time. We hear numbers like 70% of CMMS implementations fail, and they really fail for a number of different reasons. But typically, the biggest challenge we see is change management. Ultimately, who really wants to spend extra time working at a computer screen when you can be at the equipment, turning wrenches, performing maintenance, doing your day-to-day duty? So really, our intent when we designed Fix was to provide a system that really got out of the way, if you will, to really enable you to implement all the great strategies that you've got cooked up to ensure reliability of your equipment, ensure the maintenance team and the technicians are able to go out and spend maximum amount of time working on the equipment, so you spend less time working with the technology to actually record what's happening on the equipment. So, really our intent is, how do we create the most simple, easy to use platform, but at the same time, I use that word platform very deliberately because ultimately in a modern manufacturing environment, the CMMS needs to connect to other best of breed systems, such as your manufacturing analytics platform, like Machine Metrics, for instance. So really now you can start to harness the data that's being generated, being collected, and ultimately being analyzed in various different systems, whether that be in a tool like Machine Metrics, whether that be data that resides in your ERP, in your PLM, in your ordering system, and really using this data now to make better decisions and ultimately allow you to implement the maintenance strategies that you're after. So we've been around for over 10 years. We've got over 3,000 customers around the world. We're deployed in over 90 countries. Recently became part of the Rockwell Automation family as of just over a month ago. So incredibly exciting future at Fix. And we really are scratching the surface in terms of what is possible from a software as a service maintenance management system. So in terms of the strategy that we really look to enable on behalf of our clients, we really see digitization as being part of a long-term journey. And by no means is are these stages that you see on the screen binary, but really we kind of think of this as a guide. And I'm sure to all of the folks on the line, you're all intimately familiar with the benefit of digitization and really what digital tools allow you to do. I'm not here to talk to you necessarily about, hey, how do you optimize your maintenance strategy? I would imagine that you're going to be able to tell me that, in your words, in terms of how it applies to your equipment. But rather, I think, where Fix and Machine Metrics really can help and where we come into play is, we provide the digital tools to enable you to execute on that strategy in the most effective and efficient way possible. So as we think about the maintenance journey, we've seen over the last number of years, many clients come to Fix because, really they're running maintenance in one of two ways. We see kind of some organizations strictly on a run to failure where nothing's documented. Believe it or not, that happens more often than you can imagine. My background was in telecommunications and wireless. And I was genuinely surprised at, how many large, highly valued organizations, have a run to failure model. But, increasingly we've seen organizations adopt tools like Fix to move to a preventative maintenance program. And typically the starting point is, can we just simply get our assets in some kind of system so we can track them? And can we automate maintenance workflows based on time, right? Can I do my monthly PMs? Can I do my weekly PMs? And what we've seen across the board with our clients is a huge improvement in results, in uptime, in really predictability when it comes to, when is my asset going to be available? When is it going to be down for maintenance? And ultimately, the end result is, better performance when it comes to production, better predictability when it comes to delivery of orders and so forth. So as we think about the digitization journey and as we start to layer in tools and technologies now to really take point solutions and standalone systems and standalone processes and apply data to it, really what we're able to do with the data is take information that resides or is being generated from systems like Machine Metrics and now start to automate workflows on the maintenance side based on that data. So just to kind of level set with everybody, first of all, I said we had 3,000 customers, and that's true. What's really interesting is, the customers that are on the forefront of moving up this journey, certainly a smaller percentage of clients. So I know, when we go out and we look at analyst reports from various outlets and, they'd have you believe that, the bulk of the market is doing predictive and, you're way behind if you're, at any other stages of this journey. And what I can tell you is, there's very much this ongoing evolution, everboarding, if you will, to really improve operations. And generally speaking, that starting point is, can we use basic data points like machine utilization, cycle counts, parts produced, really, really simple data points and trigger automated workflows as a result. And what we're seeing with clients across the board is, as they look to move to a utilization or throughput-based preventative maintenance program, they're seeing incremental gains in terms of their productivity, whether it be recovering additional capacity in their facility because now they're not over PMing equipment, to saving on parts and supplies and saving on labor costs because simply they're able to perform fewer PMs in a year because those PMs now are tied to utilization rather than simply a time-based schedule. So a whole host of opportunities open up as you start to integrate best-of-breed systems as part of a broader ecosystem. And I know Bill's got a great demo planned where he's going to kind of go through what does the condition-based aspect of it look like. And really the best way to think of a fix is we are the platform that really allows you to execute either on data that resides in external systems or based on the results of the analysis of that data coming from external systems as well. So just kind of double clicking and going, one layer deeper into, what Fix is about and, our core beliefs in terms of, our product and our direction as a platform. So, fundamentally our core focus has always been and continues to be on, how do we simplify the maintenance management capabilities of the platforms? You can really break that down into, 4 key components. Number one, as you see on the right side of the screen, asset management. So very simply, can I get my assets in the system? Can I manage them? Can I track them? Can I make decisions now based on data that relate to things like replacement cycles, things like, do I need a new asset? Can I repair? Should I rebuild? Those sorts of things. Really managing all of the static and dynamic information that relates to your physical equipment. The second component is the management of work orders. So we think about work orders, either you're going to be doing reactive or preventative or predictive work orders. And, when we think about work orders, our intent is how can you manage, schedule, dispatch, and then, of course, if you're a technician, close out that work order and interact with it in a medium that ultimately is optimized for your use case. So if you're a planner and scheduler, you probably want to be at your desktop or at your laptop logging in, looking at a bigger screen. If you're a technician, you need to be able to access that information online or offline, be able to use it either on a smaller screen or on a tablet. And of course, our mobile app certainly accomplishes both of those objectives. Management of parts and supplies, hugely critical for our clients. Important to know what's on the shelf, important to know, how many you might need for things like upcoming PMs and so forth. We've got a robust tool, fully integrates with all common ERPs, very standard use case for us. ERP is the master when it comes to the inventory records and the items on hand. And of course, all POs and replenishment would be handled through the ERP. And of course, we play very nicely really as a system of engagement when it comes to management and utilization of spare parts. So, and that really ties in nicely to what you see on the left side of the screen. Reporting and analytics, really what gets measured gets actioned, right? A wise person once said, I don't know whose quote that is, but, and of course, what gets measured gets manipulated is another one, but we can save that one for a different webinar. But, effectively being able to view all of your information, all the performance at a glance, whether that be in a dashboard in the software itself, whether it be by automated reports, really understanding, where are the problem areas, what's working well, and what are the areas where I can take immediate action and drive improvement. So those are the core areas of the software. We're going to continue to invest in those areas, continue to make improvements. But really, if you look at, what has made Fix so successful in the market, it really has been our investment and, the capabilities in those areas. The two other areas that I'll talk about that tie directly into today's conversation is really, number one, Fix Foresight. We'll touch on that momentarily, and then the Fix Integration Hub. So I'll talk about the Integration Hub first. Really our belief as we think about Fix as a platform and as a platform that's part of a much broader ecosystem, it's very important for us to be able to connect into any system. So we talked a little bit about ERPs, but as we think about production systems, that could be control systems, could be sensors, could be historians, could be fleet, could be any other data source, quite frankly. Our strategy up until now has really been to rely on best of breed partners like machine metrics, who really have that experience in machine connectivity, machine data, and I think most importantly, how do you take that data, how do you normalize it, and how do you securely share that data with a cloud application like Fix? So, I don't want to steal Bill's thunder when it comes to his part of the presentation and his demo potentially a little bit later on. But really, what we've orchestrated between the two companies is utilizing the data that Machine Metrics is capturing, and then triggering and executing on work orders in Fix, and applying that data in a very meaningful way. And what's really interesting, and I think what's been really important for me, has been we're able to do this in a very, very straightforward manner, and able to turn on new use cases and new clients very simply. When I joined Fix back in 2017, and I was doing all the reading about what were the trends that were going to be taking place in the next 3, 5, 7 years in the industry, I would say that what was the biggest challenge that I saw and the biggest opportunity as a result for us as a company was, could we take these use cases and really simplify the deployment of them? Because ultimately, if it's not simple, and if it's costly, and if it's hard to do, then you're always going to see very limited adoption to those organizations that have got virtually unlimited budgets to go out and execute on their digitization strategy. And as we've evolved and developed partnerships with folks like Bill and Graham, and we've of course evolved our platform, one of our core pillars and the core theme that we always talked about, and kind of our first principles, if you will, was can we do this easily, and does this make sense from a cost perspective for our clients? And I think we've really accomplished that in our partnership with Machine Metrics, and that's really what gets us so fired up and excited to have conversations like we're having today. So you'll see more of that later, and Bill, I won't steal your thunder. But that brings us to Fix Foresight, and AI and machine learning, huge buzzwords. I'm not a big fan of the buzzwords, to be honest. Really, if I had to put it in my words, the way I think about Fix Foresight, really what we're doing is we're taking the machine generated as well as the human generated data that's coming into Fix, and we're providing insights against that data, allowing you to further automate actions that may be pertinent to you as an organization. So I'll touch on them, really, really high level. And then if there's interest in kind of going into more detail and digging in with our product team, happy to set up a direct one-on-one conversation following this webinar. But we focused that product or that product family up until now in 3 key areas. So number one, can we help you figure out how many parts you need to have on the shelf to fulfill planned maintenance that's coming up, or even perhaps unexpected maintenance based on historical trends and based on upcoming PMs? Can we take some of the equipment data that's being generated at the asset level, and can we provide you with insights that relate to the health of that equipment? And as a result, can we prevent unplanned downtime from occurring based on the analysis that we're doing? And then finally, we look at work orders. So, are there anomalies in your work orders that should be concerning, that you want to have a human take a look at in more detail to really stave off potential issues that could come up in the future? So, this is an area that we've been investing in for the last couple of years. The products as part of the suite have launched in the past 6 to 8 months. More coming down the road. Just an area where we continue to be excited about, and there's worlds of opportunity as we progress. But fundamentally, our belief is there's an opportunity to start in a very small and pragmatic way. It could be the case that you're using paper and pen to manage maintenance today, and that's okay, because a great starting point is get your data into a system where now you can track, manage, analyze, implement perhaps a PM program based on time, and then grow from there. And as we think about that growth journey, it doesn't have to be big, scary, and expensive. We can really start with the power of a single data point, and start to take meaningful actions that drive improvement. So without further ado, I'd love to turn it over to Bill at this point, so he can kind of go into a little bit more detail in terms of how does the Fix plus Machine Metrics story look in context. So again, appreciate everybody's time. Bill, I'm going to pass the ball back over your way.
Great, thanks, Sandy. So what I really wanted to touch on here is just reiterating kind of where we are on the maintenance automation journey. what Sandy stated, and I'll sort of attest to, is that manufacturers today, I mean, while we strive to have a world where all equipment failures are predicted ahead of time, limiting unplanned downtime, the reality is that most factories react to unplanned downtime. They run their machines to failure, and using a system like Fix, you could start to track that work and start to set a schedule to prevent these failures from happening, based on knowledge that that we have as manufacturers on the machines that we're running. And that's where calendar-based preventive maintenance really helps. Setting up to every month, change the lubricant or whatever that is, and having a system like Fix really helps us do that. But if you look at what's needed for more usage-based preventive maintenance, I mean, the cars we drive, we change our oil every 10,000 miles. Those that drive less, change the oil less frequently. So if you having calendar-based preventive maintenance means that you're probably over maintaining this equipment if we're doing it right. Having usage-based maintenance means that we're more intelligent about when we actually maintain the equipment, so that equipment that's run hard, is maintained more frequently than the equipment that's not run as hard. And especially in discrete manufacturing, where you have a lot of changeovers, some machines aren't running all the time, that can become more relevant. But the way that this maintenance systems today work is that you update meter values, and these meter values are often require an operator on a either daily, weekly, monthly basis, updating the amount of hours that a machine is run. And it's a manual process that's hard to track and prone to error. So that's really where usage-based preventive maintenance is today. And then we get to more condition-based predictive maintenance, and this is really where there's an understanding of what alarms or events that occur on this machine, or maybe even like what am I hearing on that machine. And as an operator that may have been with a company for a long time, that's gained all these skills and time and knowledge, they have this tribal knowledge that's really difficult to pass off to, say, a newer operator. They might be able to tell if a machine is failing and can indicate to maintenance that machine needs to be repaired, but it's not reliable and it's difficult to manage, and it doesn't scale. So there might be a few cases where you have customers that are using this tribal knowledge to predictively identify when a machine is going to fail, but it's as I said, it's not scaled and it's uncommon. And then finally, there's more of the AI-based predictive maintenance. This relies on a massive amount of data in order to determine the series of events or patterns or anomalies that leads to this failure. It requires deep domain expertise. You have to understand, the physics of the equipment, and these algorithms need to be trained. And while there's a massive amount of value here, it's really unattainable, at least to date, to most manufacturers. And really to help bring manufacturers through this journey is why Machine Metrics and Fix have established a partnership. So Machine Metrics alone does not provide the full solution to manage maintenance workflows, inventory, and the supply chain. Fix alone does not have access to that real-time machine data to drive automated, preventative, or predictive maintenance. And the partnership that we established really is to connect these best-of-breed applications, the machine data platform, Machine Metrics, with the maintenance platform, Fix, and this together we really have opened the door to autonomous maintenance, and that's with the essentially we're helping our customers transition from that reactive maintenance to predictive by enabling the usage-based preventive maintenance and condition or really AI-based predictive maintenance. So let me just spend a minute showing how this works. Essentially, the Machine Metrics integration with Fix is pretty straightforward and leverages our workflows feature. For a usage-based maintenance system, these meter values are automatically sent to Fix on a regular basis. This can be set up as a time-based trigger that triggers an action. And essentially, this action sends this data to Fix through their APIs, through this integration that updates meter values. And it's the logic in Fix that actually creates that scheduled work order. And I'll have the opportunity to show you that. For condition-based maintenance, Machine Metrics can be configured to trigger an action when either like a downtime is categorized by an operator, a critical alarm is triggered, or a sensor value is exceeded. And again, the action is that an API request is sent to Fix that adds this event, and it's a workflow in Fix that actually creates that creates these work orders. And then for AI-based maintenance, essentially a sophisticated algorithm runs on the edge that detects an anomaly or a pattern that essentially creates this an alarm event, just in the same way that a condition-based maintenance works. And then this event is sent to Fix, and again, that's what triggers the work order. And just to give you an example, I mean, some of the algorithms that we built at Machine Metrics can predict quality scrap issues, tool failures, bearing issues, and this is a natural point in time to trigger that work order for maintenance to repair that machine prior to an unplanned breakdown. So so essentially, in all of these cases, it's the logic built into Fix that'll create that work order based on the event sent from Machine Metrics. And you can see there's we have, and I should be able to get into this in the demo, where we have the scheduled maintenance trigger. It's based on one of these 3 events, either time, meter reading, or events. And then and essentially these are triggered based on the values that Machine Metrics streams into Fix. So let me go ahead and show you a little bit more about how this works. So demo time. So here I have a demo that essentially 3 different machines, and these are also set up in Fix. We have a CNC lathe, a stamping press, and a tea kettle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trigger a couple different events here. But the first is if I go into Fix, I can see I have in my assets, I have these 3 assets. I have the if we look at the stamping press, you can see in the in the metering, you can see that this is the last reading, the amount of cycles that have been produced. And then if I go into the maintenance, the scheduled maintenance, we have every 1,000 cycles a new work order is created. Okay, and I have similar scheduled maintenance events set up for the other machines. So if we go back into here, let me just show you what this what these look like. So here is the the CNC lathe, and we can see starting with the meter update. Essentially, we have a scheduled trigger. So every day at 11 a.m., we're actually sending the meter update to Fix through this webhook, and that'll create the meter update. And then the other one that we've set up is this this planned maintenance. So essentially, you categorize a downtime or a temperature is exceeded. Now, if I look at my tea kettle, here is a this tea kettle right now is down. It's down for maintenance. So what I want to do here is actually categorize that downtime. Okay, so essentially what I've done in this, and this is not like a it's a tea kettle. It's actually in the office. It's a real device. It's connected through sensors, but I can essentially instruct the system that let's see, I can instruct the system to refill the water. Okay, so I'll refill the water. Okay, so now if I go into Fix, I will see in my work orders, and this might take a minute. Okay, let me just make sure that. Okay, well, this should come up in just a minute where that work order is created. But in the meantime, what I wanted to show is that we actually turn that tea kettle on. So once this temperature, and I'm not sure if we're going to get to the 200 degrees where this triggers another work order in the time of this demo, but you can see that the temperature value, the sensor value, is starting to grow, to increase, and the actual the tea kettle itself is active. It's showing that it's powered on. So let's go ahead and go to the scheduled, let's see, work orders here. Okay, well, this is probably a demo failure on my end. It's not creating the work order, but it should be if this is configured properly, where the tea kettle will actually looking at this this event. So it's a refill water event would create that work order, and that's and these are the different instances where that actually has been created. So so I guess I wanted to looks like I probably won't have time for this to exceed that 200 degree temperature. during this time, but I wanted to make sure that we opened this up to questions. And if there's time at the end, I can show you when this triggers at 200 degrees. We can actually see that working. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and open this up to any questions.
Well, I don't know, Bill. I personally would find it an engaging afternoon just to watch that tea kettle fry. Just
watching water boil. Yeah.
Literally watching water boil.
That would be a lot of fun.
For any of you that ever thought that couldn't be entertaining, I challenge you now. So that was really great, guys. Firstly, thank you both so much. I thought that you're really engaging presentations, and Bill, the demo I think really demonstrates the power of what two solutions combined really can provide for a manufacturer looking to transform the way that they do something very quickly. Not having to rebuild anything from scratch. A couple quick questions that are coming in that I'll and again, for those of you, we have a bunch of questions already, but don't hesitate to use the Zoom nav so you can ask those questions. That way we can try to get to them all as fast as possible. Question number one. How long does it take to start getting data syncing between machine metrics and fix? Either one of you.
I can answer that. Essentially, you just need to contact us to set up that integration, and it's just literally turning it on. Obviously, you need to have the data coming from the machine, and that process takes. It really, if you know what you're doing, it takes 20 minutes. It might take a couple hours once you have your edge device to actually capture that data. Then you need to decide, how often do you update your meter values, or which alarms do you want to trigger a workflow, and then you need to configure a fix to kick off those work orders based on that logic. 10,000 hours, or my critical downtime alarm, to trigger that work order. So once you have those configured, it's a very easy integration just through those workflows. So it's working. If you want to work with our customer success team, we can help you set that up. But it's a pretty simple process.
I'm gonna challenge this a bit more, pretending I'm in the audience today. To rebuild, to make something like this happen, right? If I'm building my own system from scratch, you can see this taking like, maybe even a few weeks, right? Getting data from the machines, right? Building out some sort of configurations, right? Having a maintenance system that can actually take those notifications. Bill, is this a matter of weeks? Is this a matter of days? Is this a matter of hours? What are we looking at? Is it seconds?
You mean to build it yourself? It's probably years. Okay. The amount of effort that it takes to actually capture data from the machine, to transform it so it's understandable, and just all the workflows that need to be built. Looking at both on the fixed side and the machine metric side, there's decades of development, and probably hundreds of man years that have gone into each of the products. So being able to have access to that, for like a nominal annual fee is essentially what we're providing our customers.
Okay, and you're saying that this can be delivered essentially in a matter of, in a matter of minutes to the customer.
Well, it's realistically is probably a few days to like get everything configured and set up and then connected. But yeah, it's a pretty simple process.
Cool, awesome. And so putting myself into the customer shoes again, what are the prerequisites for someone who's here today to take advantage of these combined solutions? Obviously, Fix seems to have a bit of a broader audience. Machine metrics focused on manufacturing. What are the prerequisites here for somebody to approach something like this?
Cindy, I don't know if you want to start with that one.
Yeah, I can start with that. On the fixed side, it's pretty straightforward. Our software, we've got 3 tiers of software. Enterprise tier opens up access to our integration hub. Integration hub includes, our partner, machine metrics to provide the interface. The beauty, to build on the last question a little bit, is the integration is built right between the two systems. So in many cases, like that heavy lifting is already done. So turning on Fix and configuring your equipment and so forth. Once you're set up with that, then actually turning on the data feed is actually pretty straightforward. And Bill, maybe you want to expand on that a bit more, but the heavy lifting, if you will, has already been done between the two companies. And ideally, we've tried to make it as turnkey as possible.
Yeah, in terms of on the machine metric side, obviously you need to have equipment that you've identified that you want to connect. You'll need an edge device from machine metrics to actually run on the edge and to connect your machines, and then it's just we have videos and instructions of how to set this up yourself. Almost all of our customers set this up themselves. We don't have to go on site. We don't have to send anybody there, and that process and in itself can take as little as 20 minutes. The data that we're looking for pretty simple like usage-based maintenance is just runtime. So if the execution state of the machine, how long it's run, and you update that on a daily basis, it's pretty simple. And so there's the requirements are just that you'll need to have the ability to send this data through our secure interface to the Machine Metrics cloud. So you have to make sure that you have your IT infrastructure, either Wi-Fi or or a network to your machines, and that's really that's kind of all it takes to really get started.
Cool. We got a bunch of questions coming in, guys, so I'm just going to kind of rapid fire them at you. How's the performance of condition rules-based maintenance compared to AI and predictive maintenance? And I just want to for what it's worth, I want to start with an answer, and then I'm going to pass it off to you guys. Just, I think for what it's worth, I've written a lot about, the journey, right? A lot of companies essentially are, essentially jumping right to AI and predictive maintenance as the solution, right? There's a famous story about a BMW plant, right? That, essentially when they began their initial maintenance digital transformation journey, found that if they were able to move onto a basic machine usage-based model, they would achieve rapid results significantly faster than jumping right to a predictive result. So I think for what it's worth, every company is at a different stage within their journey, right? Some, already doing condition, maybe even usage-based maintenance, and are ready to take that next jump, right? Others, literally, fixing machines when they break. Right. So I think, that's my approach is every company's at a different stage. And I think that they, in some ways, each can provide value to a company. But I would also be more than happy to hear what my co-presenters have to say on, condition rules-based maintenance comparing to AI and predictive.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just touch on the fact that AI predictive maintenance can be really difficult to build the right algorithm. It's based on the manufacturing process that you're going through, and requires some upfront work on from taking that data, training it, and being able to roll that out. But once that algorithm is developed and it's rolled out, the effectiveness can be, and the value could be, it's pretty extreme. I mean, we have customers where we're at like a 96% accuracy rate, where we're detecting 96% of the failures, after training this. And it took a few months to get this set up, just to be able to, to understand the data and be able to develop that algorithm. But once it's deployed, it's highly valuable. Whereas a rule or condition-based maintenance is something that, is much easier if you understand the machines, or say the alarms, or, maybe it's a, simple temperature. Some of those conditions are much easier to roll out, and it's just a matter of setting up the rule in a workflow. So there's a different level of I guess, expertise and upfront work required for predictive versus condition-based.
Sandy, any thoughts on that, or is that a thorough answer?
No, I think you covered it, right? I mean, if you've got a single data point that gives you a simple indication like, hey, change the filter because the pressure's dropped, condition-based is going to provide you quick value. If it's more complex, then you're going to need to employ predictive, and it's going to be asset specific. So yeah, I don't want to belabor the point necessarily.
Here's a really good question that came in. I always love this question. We're talking about payback period and ROI. Like, I've actually stopped using ROI as a term, because I'm just like, how much more can you make, right? It's like ROI only pays for the solution. Machine metrics, we've at least seen just on our solution alone, our customers usually see ROI within, anywhere from, the first week to the first month of the year, sometimes a little bit longer, but sometimes shorter, as crazy as that may sound. We have customers that implement machine metrics and find that, they don't actually need to buy, multiple pieces of $500,000 a year equipment on day one, and machine metrics is paid for itself for the next, 100 years, right? But I think, how would you, guys, like, you're a manufacturer, right? You're going about delivering a solution. You've got machine data, you've got maintenance. how would you go about defining what value can be achieved through a solution like this? And then how would you measure it? I just think it's a good answer, something to think about for manufacturers.
So I know for the way that we typically work with our customers is we start by baselining their utilization, and then from there you kind of have a good starting point. And then once you start to roll out some of these workflows, or if just improve transparency, you can see a pretty rapid increase in performance, 10, 20%. Essentially, if for a customer that saves 1 hour of downtime a month, it pays for itself. But we often see an hour or more downtime a day that we eliminate through access to the data in the automations that are set up. So, like I said, the ROI can be pretty fast.
Yeah, and just to kind of pile on a little bit there. I mean, when you're thinking about the integrated solution specifically, of course it's going to vary, scenario by scenario. But we've seen results where in a single month, we had a client recover hundreds of thousands of dollars of lost capacity simply by switching from time-based triggers to utilization, because they weren't taking lines down and so forth. So the ROI and the payback, of course it's going to vary, but with the right application, you're going to drive very substantial results.
Yeah, that's even just some of the more obvious ROI, right? But then the ability to be more on time, right? To be able to manage your schedule better, right? And to quote better, more accurately depict your process. I think those are some unsung heroes of value that a lot of us don't always think about right off the bat. But it's in the end, being more competitive, right? Is there's a value there that's quantifiable at some point, right? And both companies seem really strong at being able to help you get there. So a couple more questions just coming in here. Quick question for you, Sandy. Fix app, does it have embedded built-in preventive maintenance checklists? I assume that's a yes, but I'll just...
Yeah, that's a yes. You can create them on the fly. Basically, you create a template for a work order, and that constitutes your PMs. And you can have standardized task lists for different equipment types. So yeah, super straightforward. You can apply it to equipment types. It's easy to roll out, and happy to tee up a direct discussion to go into more detail with our team if you'd like, Derek.
Doug asks if this can be applied to machines without the edge device and still Swan on a separate machine dashboard. I think, Doug, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but we have customers that install Machine Metrics Edge platform, right, as like on a virtual machine or something like that. Are you essentially asking if we can play with other edge devices, or run on a local PC or something like that? Because if that is the question,
I'm going to assume this means maybe some of the the scheduled preventive maintenance, using Fix, you don't need an edge device. But if you want that machine data to be streamed, you'll need an edge either per machine, or we also one edge device can support 50 machines across a network. So you will need that if you want the real-time machine data.
Cool. Question for us, Bill. If you don't have, if we don't already have a database, do we have any pre-existing, readily available trained data that our customers can use? And can that data be leverageable across different machines or equipments? I know you like this question, so I'll let you take this one from here.
Yeah, so we've been doing, I think we're talking about predictive algorithms here. And we've been doing a lot of work there in the last couple of years. And we have a number of algorithms for different conditions that our data science team can kind of pick and choose based on your condition. Not to say that we covered them all, but we're starting to cover a great deal of use cases. I think the same could be said, Sandy, for some of the work that you're doing as well. We're going to be covering a set of those, and then we'll be bringing in partners to actually offer even more algorithms based on that data. So I hope that answers that question. I don't know, Sandy, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, no, I think you covered it, Bill. Bottom line, we've got between the parties you've got on the line here, we've got flexibility to really solve a number of different problems. If I have to kind of zoom out a couple of layers.
Yeah, and from the machine specific side, I know that Fix has built some interesting algorithms around stamping machines. whereas on the machine metric side, we've built more algorithms around like mills, lathes, and CNC machines.
Yeah,
So
you can really see a future, right, where this ecosystem approach, right, allows for like significantly more solutions, right, to be brought to market faster.
Yeah,
right?
but I'm just reading this question again, and you do need the data from your machines. So even if the algorithms are already pre-done, we're going to need to get that data to be able to actually run those algorithms. So you do need the sensors or the PLC data that gives you that fidelity, and often that fidelity has to be very high frequency.
Quick question on that front, Bill. I know we're getting up to the end of time, but machine metrics, right? We collect data from thousands of machines, right, all over the world, right? Now, granted, we don't have any trained data, right? So it's not like a trained algorithm, right? But based on that massive set of data, are there things that machine metrics can derive that could potentially help them, like a manufacturer, say, define like certain times to do maintenance on a machine, whether it be certain alarms that come up more than others on different machine types, or
because machine metrics has so much experience with so many different machines and many of them, there's a domain sort of domain knowledge that we have built around what are some of the alarms that you really need to keep an eye on that would require maintenance. And we also work with partners such as like the control builders and the machine builders to help us there. We've built a very unique data set that puts us as machine metrics in a pretty unique position to have that understanding of how the machines run and what their failure modes are.
Cool, awesome. We got a couple more, 2 minutes. We're gonna fly them fast. Well, Doug, I'm going to read that one while I ask the other one, just because it just came in another one, follow-up question here. But Petros from Greece, does the maintenance type, right, depend on the type of production, right? It's a great question, right? What helps you the most? I'll let our panelists respond.
Yeah, in short, Petros, absolutely. One of the things that we've managed to figure out, if you will, as a company is how do we work with clients to really help them get set up properly, and that includes how do we help you optimize your strategy based on your past experience and based on the equipment. So happy to tee up a follow-up discussion following this webinar. We can get you engaged with our team, and we can kind of talk through how does Fix help you implement an appropriate strategy. But great question, and happy to dive into more detail post this call.
Yeah, and also like if you have a production line that runs continuously, it makes it easier to come up with predictive algorithms versus if you're changing over all the time.
Yeah, I want to make sure I get to this one question from Doug. Thanks for correcting the typo, Doug. Totally get it now. Quick thing on the front is that depending on your setup, machine metrics customers can connect up to 50 machines to one of our edge gateway devices. So you don't necessarily need one edge device per machine. That just depends on your setup. Do you have everything networked? Some of our customers have 50 machines networked to one switch, and then it's just as easy as putting one gateway right there at the switch, and just like that, you've got all 50 machines reporting into the system, and they can all leverage this type of integration. So guys, it's the top of the hour. If there are questions that we did not get to, I promise you that not only will we take them, but we'll send you answers to those. If we did a terrible job answering your questions, you can chastise me via email, graham@machinemetrics.com, and we'll give you a better answer later, I promise. I just want to thank Bill. I want to thank Sandy. You guys are awesome. Continue to do such a great job in these webinars. Next time, give me the heads up ahead of time so I can match, feel a little left out. For those of you joining us, thank you so much. Look forward to our next webinar, and keep an eye out for the recording. It'll be sent out in the next 24 to 48 hours. Let's give everybody a wave.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.